Hi guys, Rebecca the Explorer here. Today is 11/13/2016, and I have you looking at a copy of Google Earth where I am turning back on my place marks for last night and today, because I was doing some checking up on the areas that have just been hit. As you know, New Zealand just had a 7.9 earthquake, which has led to quite a few more fives and sixes. I do the New Zealand to keep up with the earthquakes for New Zealand for Dutch sense. So I'm going to show you the pattern of where from 7.9 hit this morning and what has happened since. Seven 7.9 hit in region South Island of New Zealand. It hit at 10 kilometers in depth. It was followed by a 5.8 in Kaikoura at a depth of 10 kilometers. Soon after, a 6.2 hit. It was at a depth of 15 kilometers. After that, a 5.7 hit. It was at a depth of 15 kilometers, followed by a 4.6. That was at a depth of 28 kilometers. If you look, you can see these areas here. That was followed by a 4.4 at 10 kilometers in depth. Next earthquake was a 4.6. And it was at a depth of 10 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 5.8. And it was at a depth of 15 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.8. And it was at a depth of 12 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 5.0. My wallet. The 5.0 was at a depth of 14 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.7. It was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.9. And it was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.7. Was at a depth of 41 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.6. It was at a depth of 5 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.5. It was at a depth of 5 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 5.2. It was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.8, no, 4.6. It was at a depth of 5 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.8. It was at a depth of 5 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 5.6. It was at a depth of 2 kilometers. Next earthquake was in the North Island. It was at a depth, it was a 2.5 at a depth of 25 kilometers. It was near Whakatane. Our next earthquake was a 4.4. Which is back down to the South Island. It was at a depth of 13 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.0. It was a depth of 7 kilometers. Our next earthquake was a 4.8, which goes along with the other 4.8, but I wanted you to see the difference here. This 4.8 shows from EMSC that it was on land, whereas GeoNet shows that the 4.8 was in the sea. That is a difference between the both of them. None. Of 22 miles. Next earthquake was a 3.7. It was at a depth of 40 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.0. It was at a depth of 18 kilometers. Our next earthquake was a 5.7. It was at a depth of 0 kilometers, which I don't understand, but it's at a depth of 0 kilometers, which means it happened on top of the floor, which maybe is ground movement. Next earthquake was a 4.2. "30 kilometers east of Topo." The 4.2 at 9 kilometers depth. Next earthquake was a 4.5. It was 14 kilometers in depth, 25 kilometers east of Seddon. Next earthquake was a 3.3. It was at a depth of 5 kilometers. Our next earthquake was a 4. It was at a depth of 20 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.5. It was at a depth of 9 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 6.0. Sorry, some of my colors are off right now. It was at a depth of 25 kilometers, 16 kilometers north of Kikaroa. Next earthquake was a 4.7. It was 30 kilometers east of Oahucune, at 5 kilometers in depth. Next earthquake was a 4.2. was 25 kilometers in depth, 40 kilometers northwest of Kekaroa. Next earthquake was a 4.3. It had a depth of 11 kilometers, was 25 kilometers southwest of Kekaroa. Last earthquake that I'm listing for right this minute was a 4.1. It was at a depth of 0 kilometers, 5 kilometers southwest of Seddon. So I'm going to give you all a better view of the areas that have been hit this morning. I'm going to turn off my place marks for everything except for today. I'll do a longer video later to give you the last 24. This is just since last night. Been more earthquakes than I have seen in a while. Okay, ones I still have on are these. All right. Should give you some idea. I have a few that wouldn't turn off. Most earthquakes have been over in this area, which is Playa Plenty, the hot springs, and then if you look, they've been over here and around Topo. What I'm seeing is this: they transfer back and forth, and as they hit here, they hit further out. That should be able to give you a better idea of what is going on. Have a plan, be prepared, don't be scared, and we'll keep you updated on Dutch Sense. Thank you, and have a nice day.